particular tape, we're going to talk about skinning out head mounts for the taxidermist. Skinning for the taxidermist. Second part of this tape, you'll be seeing skinning procession on 5x5 mule deer, Rocky Mountain mule deer. Right now we've got a, what do we have here? Bull elk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 5x6 bull elk. Right now we're going to go ahead and skin out this bull elk. Now, notice here how much skin we have. You start about 5 inches behind the shoulder blades. About 5 inches behind the shoulder blades of an elk, a deer, or any antlered or horned game that you want to take to the taxidermist, put its head on the wall. Start about 5 inches behind the shoulder blades, make a circular cut. Skin it all the way forward, cut the head off, bring it into the taxidermist like this if you want. Okay? You never slit the throat or cut the throat of any game animal. When you come to the front legs, go ahead and cut the legs off at the knee joints. Invert that skin, turn it inside out like a glove. Turn it inside out, skin it all the way forward. Go ahead and split the skin following the center of the backbone all the way down in a straight line. That way it opens up like a shirt in reverse. You'll hear all of this again on part 2 of this tape when we skin out that Rocky Mountain mule deer. However, it's important to be a little repetitive so you can learn these procedures, because if you get that once in a lifetime big bull or big deer, you want to make sure it's done properly. And this is what this tape's all about. As you can see, there's a lot of skin. You want to make sure we got a lot for the top and a lot for the bottom. You don't want to cut up into the brisket area. Now this particular customer did. As we can see here, he cut up a little bit too far. We can repair that, but don't do it to begin with because we won't be charging you extra money. Alrighty? Now, on anything like this here, number one, you got to make sure your particular state's rules and regulations. You got to make sure of them. And what I mean by that simply is, do you have to tag it first? Go ahead and follow the proper procedures required in your state that you're in right now. Now, what we need to do here, there's a couple measurements. Tip of the nose to the corner of the eye. And then the circumference around the neck. Those are 2 most important measurements you will need for the taxidermist. Now, in reality, we really don't need those measurements. We take them at the shop. We can take them from a bear cave. So you don't have to really be too concerned about it, but it's good to know that we do require those measurements, and we can get them ourselves off the skin. We really don't need you to take them, but it's just good to know that. Now, what I plan to do now, go ahead and finish splitting this skin all the way up here. Stop right about an inch before you get to the antlers, and these are antlers, they're not horns. From there, I'm going to tee it out to each burr, and then skin around and pull this down. And as I'm skinning, you'll be watching, and as I'm skinning, I'll be pulling the skin down around the eyes. I'll be inserting my finger into the eyes to make sure I don't cut off the eyelids, because if you do that, you ruin it. Not saying we can't repair it, but it's going to be something noticeable. Now as we come down, we're going to have to dig out these tear ducts, because the tear ducts just don't stop there. They actually go far deep into the skull itself. Now as we come forward, got to go ahead and be careful not to cut through the nose, things like this. What we're going to do first, however, is go ahead and ring this. What I mean by that is we're actually going to insert the knife, in this case I should say surgical scalpel, right around here and cut all that skin off close to the bone, right next to the teeth, top and bottom. Skin this up a little bit this way. That way when I bring the skin down, it'll facilitate it. Be no problem. Now, what I'll be doing up here, incidentally, you might want to notice this particular hunter left a little bit of neck meat on here. Really, you can see it. Go ahead and eat that. Grind it up hamburger, whatever it is you want to do with it. But to each their own. Now, on any animal, you want to be careful of flea bites, tick bites, things of that nature. So you go ahead and you bring along some gloves. I haven't really gotten into the habit of using them, but then again too, I've been pretty fortunate and haven't been sick either. Never got Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme tick disease, bubonic plague, and I don't want them either. I don't think you do. So go ahead and use some gloves. Now, the type of salt that we'll be talking about and we'll be using in the second part of the video, as well as the first part of the video, is hay and stock salt. Doesn't have to necessarily be Morton. It's just one of the manufacturers. There's 2 or 3 out there. And it's about $4 right now, October 1994, in the state of Colorado, about $4 for a 50-pound bag. That's, in my opinion, a little bit high. However, it varies in price from $4 to up to $8 or $9 for a 50-pound bag. Depends upon where you get it. Average about $6, 50-pound bag. Use 1 pound of salt per pound of hide. Now, remember, I cover a lot of different things in the second part of the video when I do a lot of talking. And not saying I'm not doing a lot now, but basically, you cannot freeze anything that's been salted. If you want to put something in the freezer, the salt must be taken off of it. Just go ahead and wash it out. Because if you don't, that part of it, sure, it'll get a little stiff in the freezer, but it won't freeze solid. What will happen is it will continue to deteriorate and putrefy, and in a month or two when you open up the freezer and you take it out, the taxidermist gets it, or whatever situation may be, it will be ruined. So before you freeze something, make sure there's no salt on it and freeze it solid. Now, okay, let's get started on here. What we're going to do first, I'm going to go ahead and ring around here. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use a surgical scalpel. You really don't need one. You can go ahead and use your pocket knife. Just keep it sharp. And this here could have a dull blade on here. I didn't put a new one on before I started. But just go ahead and take your time. Go around there. Leave all that lip skin on there. We'll go ahead and thin all that out later. Biggest part of this here is if you're backpacking in, you want to decrease that weight. Now, hauling out an elk head, even if you do cut off all the meat, like I said, this person left a lot on there, you want to be real careful, because what could happen is if you're backpacking it out and you got these antlers strapped to your backpack, guess what? If you don't have any orange on there, it could go ahead and cause you to get killed, because some hunters out there, unfortunately, are being careless and are not properly identifying their game before they squeeze the trigger. Accidents happen, but you got to make sure of that target before you squeeze the trigger. If you go to backpack out anything, take some fluorescent, daylight fluorescent orange material, go ahead and tie it all over these elk antlers. Then you strap it to your backpack and hopefully you'll be okay. You shouldn't have any problem. Now you can see how I'm actually keeping all that skin on there. I want to take it easy so I don't cut through here. Now I'm going to do the top part up in here. Incidentally, on this elk, as you can see, in a close-up right here of this, you don't have to get too close, just close enough to get a nice view. These here are called the whistler teeth, or buglers. Okay, this here, there's 2 of them in the elk. These here are pure ivory. On the open market right now, to sell whistle teeth or buglers, anywhere from $4 to $12 a piece is what they're worth. Now that's not what a taxidermist like myself will buy from you, but you might be able to get a few dollars out of them. A lot of people get them turned into jewelry. A lot of people go ahead and get them fashioned for a little necklace. Rings, multitude of different things, key rings. Now, I come down here, now you got your nostrils, cut them deep down in here, in this cavity, okay? Like I said, I'm ringing this. I'm ringing it, actually doing like a ring or a horseshoe or a U-shape around there. There's his tongue. Don't want to mess with that. You get your money's worth with this particular tape here that you got. I can guarantee you that. Second part, I just go on and on. As if to say I'm not doing that now, but a lot of information to be known about skinning out animals, whatever they may be. You just basically want to take your time and do a good job. There's no need to hurry. Now I'm being a little bit quicker now here, just simply because this is a larger animal. It's pretty cold. Incidentally, you don't want to put your game, meat, skin, or hide around any source of heat or direct sunlight. You don't want to put it over the engine hood or anything like that when you bring it back into town. You want to cover it up, keep it as cool as possible. Now you notice I left all that on because when you bring it into the shop, we'll finish splitting it and take care of it for the taxidermy mount. You can see how easy this is. Just take your time, don't cut up in here. If you happen to make one cut or two, we can go ahead and repair it, no problem. But take your time and don't make an accident. Don't make an extra cut. So you can see that now. I've already got that. Incidentally, when you go to backpack this out, let's say you go ahead and cape it, don't put it in a plastic bag. Put it in a burlap bag. The burlap bag allows air to come in and circulate around here and allows it to, quote, breathe. You won't have no trouble. People that have trouble usually put them in plastic bags, then they ruin them because it doesn't allow it to breathe. It causes it to sweat, putrefy, deteriorate, and just die. That's what will happen. Okay, now we got down there pretty far. Slide it in there. And again, that's what I'm doing, as you can see. Holding that around there. See that? That's what I'm doing there. I take this off now. Let's go back to the front part. Again, this is a little bit awkward. This is about your average size elk taken in Colorado. It's nothing to be ashamed about, that's for sure. Now, incidentally, now this is a surgical scalpel. You don't need a surgical scalpel. Use your own pocket knife. Just keep it sharp. There's a couple different ways to sharpen a knife. I'm not going to explain that to you. You probably already know. Everybody's got their technique to do things. But I'm telling you from experience, keep your knife sharp. It's the dull knife that'll cut you. And what I'm doing here is opening this up a little bit more so I can actually make my T-cut. See how that's opening? Now, to facilitate this, what I want to do is loosen up this skin up in here so I can actually get my knife up in there. Got a lot of work to do today, like we do every day. But if you're up in the fields, and you're backpacked in there, you'll appreciate this tape because I guarantee you it'll save you a lot of weight and a lot of time. Now when we come to the ear butts, just like on the mule deer portion of the tape, skin this down a little bit. We'll go ahead and cut this off next to the skull, deep in there. Down in here. Right here's the ear, see? You don't want to cut way up in here because then you'll cut on this skin out here. Need to do some skinning down here because this customer left a lot of this meat on here, unfortunately. Makes for good hamburger, dog meat, or just cut it up in steaks, whatever. But he said he didn't particularly care for it. Told the butcher to go ahead and leave that neck meat on here. Okay. But I think our dog will enjoy it, that's for sure. He'll eat good. If you're worried about bugs, if the weather's warm, bring some pepper with you. Sprinkle that all over. Won't hurt the meat. Help keep away the flies. But there's a lot of flies that don't know that, so they'll still land on it and do everything. Once you got your meat secured away to keep bugs out and away from the skin, you can go ahead and bring along insecticide, spray, things of that nature, and put it on the skin to kill fleas. Be careful of lice. Here in the state of Colorado, haven't really found a lot of animals, thank God, that have lice. Because I tell you, the lice are some nasty stuff. But we do a lot of work too. We do bear, deer, elk, antelope, all kinds of things. So I really can't argue about it. They're pretty clean animals here in the state. That doesn't mean there isn't problems here and there. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is come up And here's where it gets kind of difficult, really. You're usually going to have a little bit of hair you're going to cut off when you make this incision. A lot of people try to force their knife blade down here from underneath the antler burr and then cut out. That's good if you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut up, make it a little bit easier. So I got this weak old scalpel here. Once we get it started, it'll go real quick. But you want to try and get all that hair out from underneath those antler burrs. Now you can see that cut? Now I went right up in here between these two. I can go back further. I can make a V, a 7, a T. Just depends upon your own preference. But it's something you want to know, be able to do. Because I know several guides and outfitters, and to be honest with you, they don't know what the heck they're doing when it comes to caping out game. They really don't. Now notice what I'm doing here. I'm using my knife blade. Go ahead and loosen up this skin and actually cut it away. I'm prying it out from around. There you go. Getting a good grip on there and pulling this out from around underneath that burr. Go up there and then we'll start to pull it down. I'm going to go ahead and change blades over here. There's a lot of outfitters and guides out there that don't know how to properly cape game. I can guarantee you that. Because we get their work in to do from their clients. Usually got 45 minutes to an hour worth of repair in it. Because they made erroneous cuts, wrong cuts, they were careless. I'm not saying everybody's that way. But there are some out there, and these are some of the older boys. You know, the ones that know it all. And they make some mistakes. But like I said, we all make mistakes, no matter who we are. But if I'm paying you $2,000 or more to go hunting, you tell me you'll go ahead and cape it out, I expect you to do a good job to know what the heck you're doing. Okay, here I'm going to go ahead and cut this up here and make this other T. Now again, I'm not going way back up in front. I'm keeping the cuts back in here. Because like we got to sew that. And you will lose a little bit of hair up in here, but there's no big deal to that. There's plenty of hair, just take your time. Notice how this here's coming down. The elk antlers stick up real high in comparison to deer. See how that's coming around? What we're going to do on both sides, pull that around, bring that down. When you go to field dress your animal, don't cut it way up into the brisket area. Keep it down kind of low. Otherwise you'll split it like this. Then we've got to charge you a little bit extra to sew it. Anything over a foot of sewing, I kind of got worked into our price a foot of sewing, which I think is pretty good. Got a little bit of repair time worked in there, which most taxidermists do. We try to produce quality mounts. We're not the fastest in the world, but we can be fast if we want to. Usually how that works is customer pays up front for the entire mount plus 25% extra. We'll get it out to you in 30 days. Same high quality as if you had to wait 3 months, 6 months, or a year or more. It depends. We try to keep our freezers empty, keep the money out to our creditors. I wanted to say into our pocket, but that's not true. The more you make, the more you spend. So you just keep bringing that skin around. Notice how that's coming off. Really works out fine, really works out nice. Notice how that's coming out again. Fits around there, and it's coming off. So you just kind of take your time going around. Then when you skin it off the animal, try to skin it a little bit clean. Leave the meat on the meat, with the meat, not on the skin. That makes for an easier load carrying too out. And if you're going to be up in camp several days because you got several other friends out there trying to go ahead and get their elk, and you're going to be up there and it's getting a little warm, you might want to consider going ahead and skinning this out and hanging the skin up, even salting it down. You want to be careful of bears coming into camp. If you're in an area where there's wolverines, boy, you'll like those. They'll come in and urinate all over your meat. Oh, they'll make a mess. So you got to hang things up. Porcupines come into camp and munch on your antlers too, so you might want to keep those up off the ground. There's 1,000 different things you got to look for if you're going to stay up there a while. But now, usually here in the third season in Colorado, which third season I usually hunt with my family, we don't have to worry too awful much about that. It's only been a couple of years that it got really warm. But usually in November we got snow in the high country, and a lot of the animals aren't out messing around like they are in bow season or some other season. So yeah, it gets a little awkward working with something this big, but just take your time, come on around, get that skin. This one here is coming off real nice. But again, cut that ear loose. It's just coming out and around. And I'll show you the correct way to take these antlers off. Why this here is looking a little awkward for me. It's just simply because I'm trying to give you the best picture I can of what it is I'm doing. Taking this off, just use your knife, work it and pull. Work it and pull. See how it's coming? Really nice. There you go. Keep your knife turned into the skin, not into the actual skin itself up here, but back into the meat portion. That way you won't cut the skin. Now you're starting to get around the front part of the eye. As you can see, it's coming along quite well. Pull it right down. Now here's where you got to take your time. Put your finger into the eye socket. Actually, so you go ahead and hold open and up the eyelid. Go ahead and start cutting down. You'll be coming over the eye orbit. It's going to be kind of difficult for you to see here, so I'll just go ahead and hurry up this side. Flip this around a little bit. Still going to be difficult, so I'll go ahead and do this side and make it a little bit easier for you. But if you're used to doing this here on the ground, that'll definitely make you a happy person to get a table so you're not bent over so much. But when you're out there in the field, they don't really have too many ready-made tables other than a rock, maybe the hood of your car if you don't mind getting a little messy. Anyway, here's where you stick your finger in. Hold that up. That way you're not going to cut it. Back in there and work that loose. Okay, I've got that part loose. Now here I need to loosen up some more skin because this individual here didn't skin out too good. So what we need to do here is basically go ahead and skin this down. It's a little awkward. Okay, now we're getting back up to the eye again. Stick my finger back in there. And again, you may have to stop and switch over to this side to relieve the tension that's on there. Just broke my blade. Stick another blade in there. These blades are a little fragile. But I'll tell you what, as far as sharpness goes, you can't beat them. go again. Don't you wish you could do that with your knife? Put a new blade on there instead of spending a half hour to resharpen it. Okay, again, I'm holding my finger in there to keep from ripping it. Because what I want to do is get the inner eyelid and all that. I don't want to cut any of that off. Pull that skin back. Make sure you're not cutting into the front. A lot of times you slice open the eyeball, which I just done. That makes a nice little mess for everybody to see. Right here, go ahead and skin this a little bit further down. Like I said, I wish this hunter would have went ahead and cut all that neck meat off and make it a little bit easier, but I guess I shouldn't complain. Got the business. Got tear duct right here at the bottom. Right here's the eye orbit. Right here's the tear duct. Now you want to cut deep in there. You don't want to slice this off even, because if you slice it off even, we can still mount it, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. You want to make it as realistic as possible. So you actually work down in there. You can see it goes in there, oh, about a ½ inch. So you want to go down in there and get all of that out. Now you can cut it off deep in there if you want. It's no problem, because all that's tucked anyway, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Releasing some more of that tension on that side. As we continue to come down, there you go. You can see that's actually out. See how far down that tear duct cavity goes in this bull? It goes down there quite a little ways. Oh, let me flip this around and show you. We got the eye, upper eyelid, lower eyelid, no cuts. Tear duct. Now the tear duct, see how that skin is? See, I actually dug that skin out of there. All that folds back into the form very nicely. Now I got this side, it's tight, so I got to go back to this side and work on this side again. That's what I'll do. Probably won't be able to see very well, but you got the general idea. I'm going to be going a little bit faster here. Again, you want to be careful, because if you get in too much of a hurry, you can make a mistake. I've been doing this for a good number of years, and let me tell you, I still make a lot of mistakes. So just take your time. If you don't believe I make a lot of mistakes, just talk to my wife. She'll tell you. Okay, got that one down. That eye jelly comes on out. Just make a big mess when you cut the eyeball, but it's better to cut the eyeball than the eyelid. That is for sure. Now as you come down here, remember now what we done earlier? We skinned it up. What we're going to do now, try to break some of this free. Now, what I'm trying to do, I don't know if I can or not, still have a lot of tension on there. I have to pull this skin out. Okay, now remember those lips and everything we skin way up here?
We're all ready to them in here. We can pop through there. Cut that out. Bring this right down on in here very well. Get all that lip skin up. Pull that down there. Sometimes you got to use your knife a little bit more. You got some tendons, skin, and fibrous tissue that hangs on. There you go. Pull that down. And finish skinning it out. And normally this here would already be off. Like I said, it's a little bit more awkward to do this because it's has actually been cut off from the animal and you got some awkward skin there. When you come up underneath the lower portion, you notice right here, that blue part, bluish white, that's the skin. Obviously all the red stuff's meat. You got to be careful because you can cut through there. We can make minor repairs, but if you make a cut, don't keep cutting in the same cut. Stop. Back up. Take your time. Better leave a little bit of meat on the skin than actually cut into it. But if you can, try to skin it clean. Now what we'll do when we get it into the shop, we'll go ahead and we'll flesh it down. We'll get it real nice and clean. But you're better off to do a good job the first time. That way you don't have to backpack it out. But if you like to carry weight, now see this piece right here, we can just go ahead and cut that right off. No problem. This here is almost done. You can see, we're done. One elk cake. Notice how that is. Nice. Right around the antlers. Split down the back. There you go. Got a nice cake. When you go to fold it, now if this is coming off of a fresh bull, it's nice and warm, just hang this up for a little bit in the shade. Let this cool. Let all the body heat and all the heat from this skin dissipate. And then fold it like this. Flesh to flesh. Okay? Keep this out like that. Fold it in. Roll it a little bit. But again, you want to do that after all the heat dissipates. Put it in your burlap bag. Latch it on to your backpack. You're ready to go. And of course you can latch your antlers on any way you want. Now, let's cut these antlers off right quick. Years ago, people go this way. You need the whole thing. Whole top part. We don't need that anymore. Basically, zip and zip. Take them antlers off and just leave the head up there in the field. There's no problem. See, it's a little difficult by yourself, but we'll see what we can do. Now you notice when I cut this down in there, I was real careful not to get the burrs. On deer, some other antlered species where the burrs don't sit up so high, you can make that mistake and cut into them. Sometimes you got a little bit of a fibrous tissue that's hanging on to the antlers, usually the meat. You can cut right through it. Then you just clean the back part of the brain out of there. Clean off any meat around there to help keep the bugs away. There you got it. Again, there's no need to have the complete flat top because all taxidermists, all modern taxidermists today, use modern forms with perfect anatomy and detail to the mount. And we don't need it. We just need to make sure that there's enough skull holding the antlers together that they won't become weak. Latch those to your backpack. Go ahead, put the daylight fluorescent orange on it. You're ready to go.